Ladies and gentlemen, we are cooking up another episode for you today of MB2 Underground. My name is Sarah Kiefer.
And I'm Jonathan Tyrock, better known as JT.
Hi, JT. How's it going?
It's going great, Sarah. How are you today?
Good. I'm excited because the bar was pretty low on that pun, but it serves two purposes for our guest today, and that makes me pretty proud.
That's actually really good incorporation.
Thank you.
I picked up on the very
Obvious
one,
Mm-hmm.
but there's another layer. We were just talking about that actually. There's another layer to that, so maybe we'll get into it.
Excited?
But today we've got someone who I'm super excited to talk to because I haven't seen probably, I don't know, what's it been? Probably 2-3 years.
Yep.
I had the opportunity of working with this gentleman who's one of our esteemed orthodontists in Yuma, Arizona.
So much better than having one of our unesteemed orthodontists
That's
here.
true. That's true.
Unesteemed?
I don't know that that's a word. Okay. He joined MB2 in 2021, and so I'm excited to welcome Dr. Jeff Cook.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So good to be here.
Hey, Doc.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice to meet you, Sarah.
You as well. You get the Cook reference, right?
Indeed.
It's
It was
Dr.
like a
Cook.
triple entendre, actually.
Wait, so one was your name.
That's
Two
right.
is you like cooking.
I do.
What's the third? What's the third
Well,
tundra?
It's hot in Yuma.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Oh, it's cooking.
Uh-huh.
I'm so clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, how hot is it in Yuma right now?
It's actually pretty comfortable right now. It's the place to be, actually.
In this
People
time of
come
year?
right now from all over the world. to be in
Does
Yuma.
it get cold? I don't remember when I visited you. Does it get cold at night? Like cooler at night where you're like jackets and stuff?
Sure, in the wintertime. But in the summer, it'll be 100 degrees at 10 o'clock at night.
Well, I think cooking is a cool hobby. I'm interested in you got a degree in zoology?
I did.
Did I make that up?
Nope, that's me.
Why, though?
Well, I was interested in aviation when I was younger, and I thought, well, I need some sort of degree to go into that field, and so I picked what was interesting to me.
Okay, so you needed any degree to be aviationary, and so then you were like, I'm just going to go, animals are cool, I'll just learn more.
Yeah.
Pat, Pepper, can we keep track of the non-words that Sarah's...
Aviationary. That's cool.
Well, actually, I was headed because Yuma is where I kind of grew up as well, and it is known for a few different things, and one of those is the Marine Corps Air Station that's there.
Oh, cool.
And so that's actually what brought my family there. My father was a dentist and got stationed in Yuma as a dentist, and so when I grew up there, the jets would always be flying by. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I thought that's what I want to do. It seemed so cool. And you didn't have to have a degree in necessarily anything, but once you went to be a commissioned officer, you had to have a degree. So I took the classes that were interesting to me.
And they just
in science.
equaled. Oh, okay.
For
That
me,
makes
science was where my art and science. And
Yeah,
so,
well, and here you are, orthodontist, I think. Pretty good mix of...
Orthodontisting.
yeah. Obviously,
Art
I
and
made a
science.
different choice.
That's right. So when I went and visited Dr. Cook and we had dinner at, I think it's called Prison Hill Brewery.
Yes.
Had a shank burger. It was really, really good.
I have so many questions.
They cooked the bacon and the cheese into the meat. Like it was excellent.
good.
Are the prisoners making it?
Well, they call it Prison Hill. Do you know why?
I don't remember
Well,
why.
so Yuma was founded because it's the confluence of the Colorado River and the Gila River.
Okay.
And so that's where they would cross the Colorado at the time, and as they were settling the area, and it's a miserable place to be, especially at that time, I guess, and it's because it's just so hot. So they built a prison there in Yuma, and that's where they would send all the. They actually had the prisoners build the prison out of the mud and bricks, and so
No kidding.
it was called Prison Hill because it's really close to the Yuma Territorial Prison, which is a historic landmark. They would put all sorts of bad guys there, and if you got sent to Yuma, it was a bad place. It was a bad place to go. And my I graduated from Yuma High School, and our mascot is
The prisoners?
Do you know?
No, I don't.
We're the criminals.
Criminals, that's right.
Are
That's
you
right.
serious?
So it's funny because I feel like we had this when we were sitting eating. You were telling me the history, and it's all coming back to me now. So
Yeah.
Wait, so they thought, man, it's really hot. Let's put prisoners here.
well, I
Okay.
mean, you're in prison. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
Yeah,
Say
no longer
no?
human. So just
Oh,
throw.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
You said that. But what I was getting to when I visited, speaking of aviation, I
Weird.
land in the regional airport there in Yuma, and I'm walking to my rental car, and I guess the military installment is
It's a
is
shared field.
airfield,
Yeah.
and there were probably 8 Osprey helicopters.
Those are so
that
cool.
you know
Yeah.
they're the ones. So Sarah, they're the helicopter planes
Where they go.
where they've got the propellers that they
Yeah.
can lift off like straight.
Oh, that's really cool. I know
Okay,
exactly what
okay.
you're talking
Yeah,
about.
well,
You do now, huh? It's cool.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you afterwards. But
Great.
there were probably 8 of them that lifted right off.
Wow.
And I stood there in
Straight
awe.
upwards?
Yeah.
You saw me as a 12-year-old saying, that's what I'm going to do.
And I get it. After seeing
Yeah,
that,
right.
I get it.
And
It's pretty neat.
so we went from aviationing to orthodontia. So
Yeah.
I know, well, zoology was in there somewhere. But your dad was an orthodontist.
Right. Yeah. So he was a dentist, and then he did his residency. And because he liked Yuma so much, of course, we had lived around the world in the military. He said, "I'm going to come to Yuma and set up there." So he worked as an orthodontist, and then once I saw the light, so to speak, after I was finishing with college, and I thought, "This is what I want to do." So I followed that.
What was the light?
The light was the military life's not for me.
Yeah.
For me.
So you went through the OC officer candidate school, right, in the Marines, and just got to the end and decided
Well, yeah, I
it's
didn't.
not it, or
Yeah,
Nah.
that was it. And in fact, this will kind of show my age, I guess. But at the time, it was 1991, and that's when the Gulf War broke out.
And when I was born.
There you go. Welcome to Earth. So
Thank you.
At that time, I realized, I think at that time, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it became more real because all I saw them do was what looked like playing to me. But then when I saw images on TV, I'm like,
I think
know if
that's
the right thing.
I think that's really interesting. I was in '91. I would have been 7, and so I have some vivid memories of the Gulf War, and then the period of time between really '91 and 2001, where it seemed like things had kind of calmed down or settled a bit, and obviously now since 2001, since 9/11, like you know, we know the military involvement. It is really interesting where I think the perspective, probably pre-Gulf War, was a little bit like post-Vietnam, pre-Gulf War was a little different, and now you know in between 91 or 93-ish, call it in 2001, it was probably a lot of similar folks in your situation where it's like, hey, this is fine. Well, now all of a sudden you go into the military and you know what you're signing up for day one.
Yeah, it's very real.
You're like,
It's
nah.
different. So I wanted to have a family. I wanted to, and it's not that you can't do that in the military, but
Makes it harder.
just different.
Certainly tough.
Just different. So
Yeah.
it
And-
just shifted gears.
A couple of businesses in there too that you started.
Yeah. So since I came back to Yuma, I worked with my dad for several years, and then he kind of tapped out and opened his own fitness facility.
What kind
And,
of fitness facility?
Well, it was for many years a world gym.
Oh,
You know, a big gym.
yeah.
And so he's still doing that, actually. He'll be 78 this year, and he's still doing spinning classes, and so he's shifted gears.
Iconic.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing.
That's incredible.
He's got a killer handshake too. I got to meet your folks.
Yeah, that's cool.
He took me. It was awesome. Like the visit to Yuma, I had zero expectations. We go. I mean, we had some great conversations, but we go, and all of a sudden, Dr. Cook's like, "Oh, jump in." He's like, "Jump into my car. I want to just spin you around and show you the place." And it was super cool. But we saw the gym, and
Yeah, I people kind of give Yuma a bad rap, and I've even already done that. But it's beautiful. The people there are good. The agriculture there is beautiful to me. And we met my dad. Did you meet my brothers too? So
I
I've
did.
got 2 brothers, 2 younger brothers that are mentally handicapped. They kind of have like Down syndrome, and so they still live at home. They're in their 40s, and so it's a whole.
And
it's a whole
everyone's still in
event.
Yuma.
I have 2 sisters that live there too. Yeah.
That is awesome. So you've been able to stay close with everybody.
Stay close, and then back to the business thing. I guess as my dad kind of left to do that, I tried to buy the building that he was in, but the people that kind of partially owned it wouldn't sell it to me, and so
Rude.
I thought, I want to own my own building. I'm going to be here for many years. I don't want to rent forever. And so I had some friends and that were contractors, and we found some land and developed about 20 acres that ended up being a medical professional suite. Because Yuma didn't really have any place that was really nice. It was kind of basic, and I knew I wanted to have a nice office to represent, what I was doing. And it turns out there were a lot of people there that felt the same way.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
I just got lucky. At the time, there were just there was a need, and so when we developed that, it was very successful, and we've had lots of people come build there.
so I talked to a lot of doctors who are kind of in that, I'll say that same state of mind where it's, hey, I've got to practice, but my lease is about to be up and I want to move. And I've made the decision that I'd like to own my own building or own my own space or develop this or that. Certainly you've been through it, but what are some of the things that you would tell that person if they're listening today or watching on YouTube?
Please don't.
What are some of the things you would tell them as far as, hey, maybe these are the pitfalls, or this took longer than I thought, or like what's some
Lessons
advice you
learned.
might give? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's going to take twice as long and cost twice as much as you think. That's a pretty good rule.
I mean, that is the most fair statement I've heard.
That's probably pretty true. But it's been the best thing I've done.
Really?
I just, absolutely. Owning my own the physical real estate. But of course, that's me. I enjoyed that part of it if you don't want to mess with the hassle of it. But the developing part was really interesting. And I got an education with that as well, meaning I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I kind of would describe it like this. Let's say I said to you, let's open a lemonade stand.
Oh, let's do it.
Okay. And so, but we need to buy some lemons.
Okay.
So you'd be like, okay, let's
Where
buy
do we
some
get the
lemons.
lemons
Lemons
from?
are going to be $5 for, 20 lemons. And you
Where are we
say,
getting the
okay,
startup money?
we're both buying. You're going to got to come up with your own cash. We're going to buy these lemons.
Okay.
And it turns out you can make lemons with that, or make lemonade with that. But what you don't understand is I'm buying the lemons with you, but I owned the tree. And I also have an ability to take the lemon rinds and make zest, but I'm not going to give you any of that. So you kind of have to make sure that your partners are fair and honest. And I'm not saying I've been totally taken, but
Integritous.
there's a lot of little things, doctors to kind of think, well, I know everything, but you really don't. When it comes to that stuff, there are, like you say, pitfalls, and sometimes you just have to, those mistakes you just,
You live and you learn, certainly.
But, the obvious, finding reputable and trusting partners that you can do that with.
So that development, did you get your hands dirty at all on the development? Are you now like super handyman around the house because you did that, or?
Yeah. No,
He's
that
like,
was
yeah.
all.
No.
That was all. I mean, all the underground and stuff. I don't drive tractors.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, it's been a neat project, and I got very fortunate with it.
Snow cones, shave ice, and street tacos.
Sure. So I have some friends that really like to eat, and so
Shout out.
Don't we all really like to eat?
And they one of them's an architect, and he's really, really good at cooking. And he was like, let's make some tacos. And so he ended up making this great recipe, and we've kind of have a little side business. It's called Barbudo's Brothers Tacos. There's three of us. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And barbudo in Spanish would be bearded.
Okay.
Bearded. And
Wait. So I could join?
absolutely. There's their open spot. And so they both have these big long beards, and we're all white guys, which is unique in Yuma because we're the minority there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've won some competitions. We've done catering for weddings, and it's been really fun.
Is it a
it's
mobile
just
business?
Yeah, so it's been not. I'm not going to quit my day job, but it's been interesting and fun in that regard. Yeah,
That's cool.
We made some really good.
So how do you go from street tacos to shaved ice?
Well, it's the
shaved
same-
ice is my favorite
It's Yuma.
dessert.
Shave
it's
ice.
Yuma, and you can. Thank you.
It's not shaved.
Very good. Yeah, it's shave ice.
Shave ice.
So I bought with a couple of friends like a commercial shave ice machine.
For funsies?
You put the big brick of ice in there,
Yep.
and it turns it into almost like fluffy snow. And again, being Yuma, when it's always hot, it's always in demand.
Wherever you can get relief.
Now, is this an independent or is this franchised?
I just made it up.
Just made it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that you're like, I just went and bought a machine and
Yeah.
started shaving ice.
Yeah, pretty much.
Love that.
Yeah, I just made it up, made up the name, and we've done
What's the name?
Ice Castles.
Ice Castles. Okay.
What's the next business idea? You've got tacos, shave ice,
He's a
orthodontia,
real estate developer.
real
and
estating.
orthodontist.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe farming. I've really thought farming is super cool. It's hard to just break into that.
What
Yeah.
about farming? Like what do you think is super cool about it?
And like, what is considered farming?
Yeah. So, well, Yuma is the winter lettuce capital of the world. In fact, I know that sounds silly,
Okay.
but that whole valley is built because the Colorado ran down there and flooded all these years. That soil is so fertile down there that you can grow lettuce and spinach and broccoli and cauliflower. So if you're eating lettuce, if you're eating lettuce,
I just imagine sitting and eating a salad and being like, no, I wanted the winter lettuce.
by winter lettuce, I mean if you're eating salad and lettuce in the wintertime.
Yep. That's where it's coming from.
It didn't get grown in Utah or
It's not
Montana.
a certain strain of lettuce.
No. It means it's grown during the wintertime. You can't grow that in
That
many
would've been
places.
cooler.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sorry about that. But I think it's really interesting because I get to see that cycle through every 90 or 120 days. They're putting a new crop in. And it's beautiful. And I know how hard it is to move dirt around. You know, I've always had a little garden, and how hard it is to grow a beautiful crop. And they are perfection. All those rows are perfectly straight, and all the food is just beautiful. So, I mean, that would be a dream, my other dream, to be a farmer.
Yeah, there's something satisfying about like genuinely getting your hands dirty and moving the dirt.
Yeah.
My grandfather growing up had a massive garden. They had this really big kind of unique backyard, but he had a plot or a spot of land there that he flattened. And I mean, it was like he was going back to his parents' like farms.
Yeah.
And I mean, he just transported it to his backyard. And so it was really cool to see that. And I mean, they were out there every single day.
real
and
work.
Serious work.
Yeah.
I mean, you're involved in a lot of different business types. You've got food and would shave ice be considered beverage?
It's
Food.
dessert.
Dessert, orthodontics, and real estate. What consistent themes do you see in running businesses across all these different industries?
Well, you know, those other businesses that I've been in, mostly it's me working them. I don't have a ton of employees, I should say, and they're
Gotcha.
mostly hobbies. So, but really that's the key to success is having good people that you work with, that you work for, or that work for you. And I do see that here. I've noticed that really start to finish. The first person that I really met was JT. And, you know, if I had felt something different, then I wouldn't want to be affiliated with that. And so
Look at you go, JT.
it's
Well,
true.
There was something very unique about you, Dr. Cook, and I actually printed this off. I meant to bring it in here.
Yeah.
We got introduced through one of our partners, Dr. Trapnell, Chris
yeah.
Trapnell.
I was wondering why you were pointing at me. I was like, it wasn't me.
Yeah, you guys were college roommates, is that right? Or
Well,
just
we did our residency.
residency?
one?
That's right. Chris.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Sorry, we got a
Stupid.
lot of them. Shout out Trapnells.
Yeah.
But after we got introduced, you wrote a letter. Like you typed up a letter. I think you typed it up, or you even it wasn't handwritten, but you signed it. I think maybe even mailed it to me, and it was just an overview of who Dr. Cook was and his practice, and you know that he was really excited to have the conversation and just kind of get to learn about MB2. And I think you are the first and maybe only person that's ever done that.
No
and
kidding.
but it stuck with me. I saved it down. I've had it, and I remembered that, and I was like, I need to print this out and bring it. Yeah. So
funny.
as much of an impression as you said that I've made or I made on you, it was the same.
Thanks, man. Yeah, so I found some really good connections here at MB2 with the people here.
So how do you find the best success in retaining, identifying, and keeping good people?
I mean, I suppose it's the same way that the reason that I'm staying and want to stay here. I try to take care of the people that work with me, you know, very much so. In fact, I think that maybe has been a downfall in some ways.
What do you mean?
Being too much like family with the people that are working with me. But for me, that's just how I want to live my life or be as a boss. So to
Yeah.
speak. Just being good to people, treating them like you'd be.
It seems to be a recurring theme, like with folks that we've talked with, specifically with team members or just people in general that they're associating with, where it's, you know, we've said this, that life's just too short to not enjoy the people that you're working with. And
Absolutely.
if they don't enjoy it, then it's
Yeah, it's really tough. It's been really, honestly, the hardest part about being an orthodontist. It has nothing to do with moving teeth. There have been times during my career where it's been hard because I see it and they don't get along or there's some conflict there, and it's disappointing because it's such a happy place to be. And it doesn't last forever. Usually we make a change or something happens, but I recognize that exactly what you said.
yeah.
When you transitioned away from the mindset of aviationarying into, I mean, I guess dentistry, did you go into it thinking ortho was the route, or because that's what you saw with your father,
It
or
is,
how did you end up there?
That's right. I saw my dad doing orthodontics, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. I didn't really set my sight on anything else. I could have been happy as a dentist, I'm sure, but that's just made more sense to me.
And you guys worked together?
We did.
How did that go?
Awesome. It was great. My dad's a character. Yeah, yeah. It was neat. My dad is super. That's a good word. He's not super intense, super controlling, super smothering. And I remember asking him after a year or so of working with him. So I was like, well, how am I doing? Am I doing okay? Because he'll see my patients, I'll see his. And he says to me, well, you're putting the big teeth in the back, right? I was like, yeah, the molars go in the back. He's like, you're doing fine. So he wasn't really critiquing or you really should do it this way. Once I got there, he knew that I had earned my spot there and he wasn't about to control that part.
I like
it. Important. Yeah, so it was really good. I don't know if it always works out that way with maybe parents or siblings working together.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, but I had a really good experience there with him, and yeah, it was an opportunity I'm glad for.
That's cool. What's more satisfying? Having a kid come in, straightening their teeth, making their smile, set for, we'll say set for life, or as long as they take care of their teeth, or an adult coming in. Like, what do you find more satisfaction in?
Well, I love working with the younger people, and I recognize that this is, for a lot of them, something they've been excited for.
Yeah.
And there's something just beautiful about that. But that's a great question because the emotion comes when you work with somebody who's been dealing with or living with something for 20 or 30 or 40 years. And when you're finished, it's very rewarding. There's more tears when they're done.
This is probably a weird metaphor, but it reminds me of once a month at church, they do all the baptisms. And it's cool because you see the kids and they're like all really excited, but it's so impactful to see the adults because the kids are excited because it's something they've been thinking about and planning for. But I feel like the adults understand the impact more. And so it always feels a little bit more like it's tugging at you.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you very much. But I don't know. That's where my
Good
head
job.
No, it's great. But my 9-year-old, so I've got 3 boys. My oldest is in braces right now. My 9-year-old, my middle son, is so excited to get braces. His big brother has braces, and he asks me almost every day, hey, Dad, I lost that tooth. Like, is it time to get braces? I'm pretty sure it's time to get braces. I was like, I don't know. Yeah. But I think he's just more excited. Like, it's like a badge of honor, rite of passage, so to speak.
That's a good thing for the industry. I think the shift has been more towards this is cool and fun. And,
Yeah, wait until he's had orthodontia treatment 3 times, and then he won't think it's so cool.
But you got a nice smile.
Yeah, you look great, Sarah.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. When I finally had to do Invisalign after 2 failed rounds of braces, my parents were like, good, now you can pay for it. Because we just kept the retainers, man.
Yeah. One of the things that we definitely talked about when I visited, and it was just kind of strewn throughout. I think one of the things you enjoy doing is traveling.
Oh yeah, I love travel.
Tell us a little bit about your travels and maybe some of the coolest places that you've been, because you've been like all over the world. I mean, I know you mentioned you hiked the caves in Vietnam, and I know you've been to Brazil, I think, and so tell us a little bit about how did you where did your passion for travel start, and then what are some of the coolest places that you've been?
Well, I guess it started maybe about 10 or 15 years ago. At first, when I had younger children at home and I was busy grinding away, that's where my focus was.
Yeah.
But maybe when I turned 40, in my 40s, that's when I thought, well, I can kind of step away a little bit, and took a little bit more time off of work.
How old were
and
your kids
traveled.
then?
I would say they were 6, 9, 12, and 15.
So functioning,
Function, yeah, all in school.
all functional children.
All, yeah, very good. All functional.
Well, then they can start like dealing with each other too.
Yeah, there's
Especially with
something
that age. So my youngest is 6, my oldest is 12 right now.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about. And, you know, the
Yeah.
6-year-old can still be, you can't leave him by himself. But with the 12-year-old and the 9-year-old, like they can figure things out.
Yeah, so I think once that stage hit, it made more sense for me. And I've got, again, some really good, close group of friends, particularly we've already mentioned, and always putting some kind of adventure together. So you mentioned Vietnam. Vietnam's probably my favorite place to go.
Oh, I bet.
It's so different, so unique. The people there are so wonderful. And there's so much history there that it's kind of a privilege to go back and be in that country when my father's generation had a very different experience there.
Sure.
So anyway, so Vietnam, that first experience, like you've mentioned, you fly into Saigon, and then you take another flight up into kind of the middle of the country, Dong Hoi, and then you take a bus into Phong Nha. Yeah, I'm about to get you again. And then you hike into the middle of the jungle. And in the middle of the jungle, there's this kind of a smaller entrance. And this cave was not discovered until like the 90s.
Wow.
It's the biggest cave in the world.
Somebody
much.
was just like poking around in the
Well,
90s
so-
and was like, look at this big ass cave.
So what happens, the guy's walking through, and sees this big cloud of smoke appear and then disappear. And it's not smoke, actually, it's a cloud. And so the cave actually kind of breathes when the humidity is just right. So there's clouds in the cave, and it'll push out, and then it'll kind of
That's wild.
breathe in again. So it's obviously not alive, but there are areas of the cave where...
Thank you for that clarifier.
You're welcome. The areas of the cave where it kind of opens up, and so the differential air pressures will push air masses through there. So anyway, that's
he
how it
saw
was discovered. So he peeked in there, and he's like, what the heck? And it just kept going and going. So it was really neat. So we hiked into there, and there were about 10 of us, and there were about 20 porters, local Vietnamese, that would carry all your stuff and your food and your gear. And so you go in the cave, and you don't come back out again for 5 days. And so while you're in the cave, you're going deep in, there's rivers underground, and it is huge and beautiful.
Do you have
and
pictures?
I do. I'll show you some pictures.
Thank you.
And there are certain areas that where this cave goes through the forest. It actually kind of comes up, and it caves into the cave. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's an open area.
Caves
It's
on
not an
caves.
entrance. It's not necessarily an entrance. If you walked up to it, you'd look down into it and
okay.
see. And so in those particular areas, the world comes into it, meaning all the life, the trees and bushes and vines and whatnot. And so you're going, it's pitch dark, and then you kind of see almost like a light ray coming through. You keep walking for another 5 hours or whatever, and it opens up into this huge area that's a forest underground. Yeah, with all these ancient waterfalls and stuff. And so there have been more people on the top of Mount Everest than in this cave system.
Did you say that you see a light and then 5 hours later of walking is when you...
Yeah, well, it's a big cave.
Holy
He said-
cow.
It's a big
You
cave.
say you said it was big.
Yeah.
I had to look it up
Anyway,
before we hopped
did
in
you?
here.
Did
Yeah,
you?
just
Yeah,
because
she
I
did
wanted to do a little research.
Understand the magnitude.
And underground rivers. But I even read there are species. They have discovered both plant species and animal species that lives like only live in that cave.
So
Isn't that crazy?
I think I might have found one. I've got a little video. It's the craziest funky bug, and it's got like arms out like this, and got little pom poms on the end that are doing this.
This is a little bit of like
weird. It
a
was
stoner
weird.
thought, but like it's kind of crazy to think about how much. I mean, that was in the 90s, and it's like this big cave that people are like going into and spending 5 days in. Like how much of the world is like undiscovered, and like all you got to do is look for a breathing cave, and then all of a sudden, bam, weird bugs. You know?
Maybe we should take the podcast on the road and go find the next breathing cave.
Nah, that's okay.
Okay.
Besides Vietnam, where else would you say has made an impact?
Well, let's see. I've been to New Zealand, which
Okay.
is really
Did you go to
cool.
Hobbiton?
I did, of course.
Oh my gosh, that's on my bucket
Yeah,
list.
it's really cool. And New Zealand is neat because you can be on the beach and then look into a jungle and then see like a snow-capped mountain right there.
Oh, that is cool.
It's like all the biomes are right there all together. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. Green hills everywhere. New Zealand was
Dreamy.
absolutely dreamy. Brazil, like you said, I've been to Brazil and went to the Amazon River. They flew a plane into the Amazon River, and we fished for piranha and peacock bass, and there's some cool stuff.
That's awesome.
I immediately thought about piranhas from Finding Nemo. I'm a piranha from the Amazon.
They're there. Yeah. I ate one of them. Yeah.
What does a piranha taste like?
It was actually really good. It's cool. They just deep fry it, and there you go.
Is it just a white fish? I mean,
Yeah, it's a whitefish.
Yeah.
It's really yummy.
Okay.
It literally just like,
Yeah,
That's
and
kinda-
his little mouth is right there with his funky teeth, and
That's
you're eating around the teeth. It's cool.
that's gross. It's kind of like guinea pigs in Peru. They're like a specialty, but that's literally what they do is they just like put a stick in it and then they just like, and then you just eat it off the stick.
Like a corn dog.
Like a corn dog or a turkey leg,
Ugh.
but with eyes.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be on your travel bucket list that you have not hit?
Yeah. So maybe something in Europe sounds
Okay.
fun. Historical stuff I think is cool. I went to Switzerland and I've been some places, but Europe is for me, very unexplored.
Well, it's funny to hear that because I think most people, like at least in my mind, if you're traveling, Europe is the place for Americans to go because
Yeah, sure.
there's all this history. Now, Dr. Cook, now I'm going to Vietnam,
Yeah.
going to Brazil, I'm going off the beaten path, and I'll just leave the other stuff to discover later or explore later.
Yeah. I went to Europe for the first time last year, I think. So the other stuff is more interesting. to
Yeah.
me. And it's, well, frankly, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only been overseas once, and we went to Italy. My family went to Italy, and it was amazing just because of the history and they're excavating things and they have to stop because if they can dig up something that's like incredibly historical to find something else, and so that is really the history there is really cool.
Yeah.
But I do think that the draw of the outdoors and a little bit of the unknown, like you were saying, like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know we covered 49 and a half different topics.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
No, I'm just here to answer questions, and I don't have an agenda. I will say this though about podcasting. I think it's a great format for communication, and I think it's probably the future of news. I'll say.
Is this news?
It could be. It's communicating ideas. And I think it's very progressive for you to have a podcast. And even though it may be in its infancy or feel like no one's listening, it's a tool I think that's going to be very important going forward. As I don't know what your politics are. That's where we could go. But I feel like I've been kind of misled with a lot of the mainstream information. And growing up, I remember Walter Cronkite. Now, he was old when I was young, but his nickname was the most trusted man in America. And he was on the news, and he would tell you the way the world was and the way the world worked, and that's how it was, and you believed him.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
And that's the way it is. But that's not how it has been. I feel really like these lately the information I've gotten has been maybe incorrect or
Biased.
And so I think this is really a good format to communicate with people. So kudos.
He's no pressure. People
Yeah.
are going to come to us for the news.
Well,
Aviationaries and such.
with all the new, maybe we could be the new dictionary. That can be maybe a spinoff of this podcast. But, Dr. Cook, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It was awesome to see you again.
Yeah,
and,
thank you, JT.
this has been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, enjoy
Thanks,
your
Ray.
time in Dallas.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks.
So,
Ray. It's good to
well,
know you too.
MB2 Undergrounders, we are at the end of another episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
Have yourself a beautiful day.